I think that brand building and marketing should go hand in hand, but I agree that ROI has to be measured. And a lot of marketers have gotten lazy around this, in particular in social media. There's been a thought for a long time that we can't measure ROI, so we just won't. And I disagree with that. I think just like any other marketing channel, we should be able to measure it. Same with the things that I do in customer experience. Like it's one thing to say that customer experience is important. It's another to connect it back to the bottom line to show executives what it does to the actual business. That's a great question. I mean, one of the things that we haven't quite been able to do with technology is teach it empathy, because that is a human emotion. So I think that with all technology that we use to engage customers, it has to go hand in hand with human interaction when it's needed. So many customers today prefer self-service. They want to be able to just use the technology themselves, go handle their problem, solve their problem themselves. But when they need human intervention, we've got to be there for them. So whether we're using a chatbot or we're using some other technology, there has to be an out for the customer when they need to talk to a human, and frankly, when they need that empathy, because I think it's hard to expect a computer to show empathy, right? We can expect it to be personalized. We can expect it to use the data that it has to create a personalized experience. But real empathy is going to go beyond just some scripted language that says, "I'm really sorry you're having this problem." You know, the thing about AI and its cousin machine learning is that it continues to get smarter. And so the more that we teach it, the more I think that it is possible for it to learn. At some point, there are some aspects that are distinctly human, and I think those are going to be tougher. And empathy probably is one of those. But I think tapping into emotions, and certainly being able to respond to emotions, is something that that AI can definitely do. Things like being able to analyze in text certain words that suggest anger or frustration or other emotions, and to be able to react accordingly to that, I think is definitely something that that we can teach technology to do. I think there is a potentially scary component to it, although again, it depends on how easy we make it for the customers. So if we know that customers want things to be easy and convenient. So if we can use technology to create an easy and convenient experience, then we're all going to win and the ROI is going to be there. If, however, the technology slows down the customer or frustrates the customer or prevents the customer from getting their issue resolved, then we have a problem of usually customers seeking some other company to do business with. So that's why I said, no matter what kind of technology we're using, there always has to be that out, so that, I have a problem that your AI hasn't seen before. I'm not one to stand in the way of Mark Zuckerberg, but I'm not a buyer yet on the metaverse. I saw, probably 15 years ago, I was in Tokyo, Japan, and I saw the first, for me anyway, the first augmented reality app. And I was walking down the Ginza shopping district with an app, and as it saw what buildings I was passing, it showed like coupons that popped up from each one of the stores as I was passing by them, right? And I was like, wow, this is really cool. This is the future. And then it kind of never became the future. It became kind of a curiosity that you still see used sometimes, but not a ton. The biggest issue with the metaverse is we got to get everyone to participate in it. Otherwise, it doesn't sort of serve its purpose. And I think, when you read science fiction books like Ready Player One, everyone in the world is involved and is part of it. And so that's why it works. Are we headed there? Maybe, but I don't think we're headed there in 5 or 10 years. I think it's a long way out, but I definitely think that there is a place for it. And there's a place for a certain population that will be early adopters like anything else, and will probably help to steer the strategy going forward. We've seen lots of things. We've seen Google Glass, and we've seen Facebook owns the artificial, I mean the virtual reality goggles. I can't remember the name of it. So we've seen these products come and go also. And again, there is I mean, right now there is a use for them, but it seems to be kind of more in the gaming area and, a little bit off to the side of sort of regular society. And whether that changes, I think it depends on, like anything, it depends on what the value is going to be for the average consumer. If there's a lot of value for me to be a part of it, then I want to be a part of it. If not, then I may let others be a part of it. And I think one thing to keep in mind is that, as with most new social experiments, they're usually great until the marketers come in, right? And then the marketers ruin it because it's filled with advertisements and it's filled with pop-ups and it's filled with things in my feed that I don't want. And so that's going to be a challenge too, is how do you build this in such a way where it's going to be marketing supported, almost everything is, but how do you build it in a way that kind of keeps the essence of what they're trying to do versus having it just become yet another platform where we're just yelled at by brands. I'm seeing more spam texts, more spam SMSs than I have in a very long time. And it's just like, once that starts to invade the channel, it becomes less interesting to be a part of it. And so I think that's going to be, it'll remain to be seen how brands stake out their space in the metaverse. I think the biggest challenge is honestly not really knowing your customer. I think we all believe that we know our customer because we try to put ourselves in their shoes and we anticipate or suspect what it is they might be thinking. But what most companies are not doing enough of is actually talking to their customers. And I don't mean, yes, surveys and focus groups are terrific, but I mean picking up the telephone or going face to face and meeting, individually with your customer and asking them, how are we doing? What are the things that you like? What are the things we could do better? When you ask for feedback, it's amazing what you get back. You just have to be brave enough to ask for it and willing to accept the constructive criticism in addition to the compliments. I think way too often in business meetings, we make assumptions about what our customers are feeling, what they want, what they're going to do, instead of just asking them. And to me, it's such a simple step in the process of building anything, building any experience, any new, that if we just talk with our customers, we're going to learn a lot more and be able to serve them better. I think introducing a human element makes the most sense. So, surveys absolutely serve a purpose, and I love surveys and they give you great information, but you're right. We get so many surveys in our emails now and in our texts that we get sort of immune to them and we don't take all of them, or if it's more than 5 or 6 questions, we give up because we just don't want to spend the time. And so we can't depend solely on that channel for feedback. So when we have a one-on-one conversation, I find consumers are much more willing to share their thoughts when they're it's just a conversation, right? They're just talking with somebody and it's much more open-ended. Usually you're going to get that kind of a feedback. Now, it's not as easy because with surveys, we can put into computer and analytics and we can get pretty graphs and all that. When we talk to people, it's a little messier. It's not, it's a little more qualitative. It's a little slower because it's one customer at a time that we're speaking to. But the depth of the feedback that you get, the color, the if you will, the gray instead of the black and white is really what's valuable there.